Federation planet. The chance that war was right from air weapons at work? No, the planet's barely on their mind. He's thinking it's about Wesley. Because you see the huge, needless waste of a dead planet, who else do you think of? Riker wants to put him in charge of the mineral survey for the planet as a reminder to those who foolishly join Starfleet and scientists in the pecking order here. You can spend years studying to become experts in your field in the hope that one day, maybe you too can have the joy of being the answer to some teenager who failed the academy entrance exam. What happens to the son of a woman that Captain wants to ride bareback? We start getting deeper into the discussion, talking about whether or not this is prepared him to someday actually pass that admittedly moronic exam, or just to prepare him to grow up, which, following this example as Mother gave, seems to indicate pawning him off on others to deal with is a good idea. So to agree, Wesley will be in charge of the first month in geology.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Assemble a team.
I already have a crew manifest sorted by raw size, sir. This is now in Wesley's hands, so to speak. He had a company to pursue his personal project of adjusting the sensors and work to engage in his personal project of helping others provide exposition. His changes to the sensors will, among other things, make it easier to detect artificial transmissions. And the episode is called Pen Pals in the latest report. Back at Riker, we see how fleet he is to advance his weapons here, and he spots nothing coming out of a turbo lift and doubles in speed in the hopes of escaping. No such luck, they have to dispense a little advice to Wes, something I'm sure the audience just can't get enough of, which is a good thing, because that's the lead plot, folks. To see the first member of Wesley's team here, and knowing what's coming, he's already replicated enough cracks to get through this operation without stabbing someone. Oh, man, I love the rock. Then he continues fussing with his new ham radio until he gets in touch with a little girl, though of course we all know it's really an undercover FBI agent looking for pedophiles, that's how these things work. Jump to the favorite underage boy of the Traveler, we find that he's either having trouble getting a confidence in his team, or else his door sensor just refuses to detect him and will pick on him. BBC was visited by the Gorgon. Remember, Wes, look at the reflection in your shield. 6 weeks later, yes really, Wesley's team shows evidence of that lithium, but it's so fake that it's just a fool's echo. It convinces him that to do a 5-hour procedure to verify that would go beyond thoroughness and just wasting time. So he thought, so he goes to the man he knows just can't get enough of him, Will Riker. Wesley continues to be told to bleeding out here, so Riker explains that to be in charge means to make what you think is the best call and take ownership of that decision. Acting in the chicken isn't so sure of that, so Riker offers to follow him.
In your position as a good boss yourself, what does Former McCarthy.
The captain is God? Yes, our knowledge is hard in heaven. Inspired by his bracelet, Wesley heads down and orders the scan to be done, and Davis jumps to it. Meanwhile, in Davis' subplot, he finds disturbing info and needs someone to come to his rescue. Oh, we got no hair in this thing book, but they call him the home. Then it goes in on what's happened. Shockingly, rather than giving another loud, arrogant speech, the card takes the whole thing very well.
There is
Man, you know Picard is an awesome movie. Someone who's possibly violated the prime directive and hardly notices. Then when it actually goes so far as to suggest doing that, Picard hardly seems to care. You get the feeling he'd be more upset if Data suggested going with a Western saddle over the English one he's using. The only time he's even in the same reality as Data comes at the end of the scene when he tells him to sever the communication with the girl for the time being. He also calls a meeting of the senior staff to discuss the issue in private, leading to what is probably the most thorough discussion of the prime directive of its era. Contact is together to the director, who would go on to do such episodes as Dharma, Altered Things, and the Siege of AR-558. But at this time, this is only his second episode. When you just look at the script, this reads like typical self-reports of early TNG, so that the smugness and self-righteousness just oozes off the page. Instead, they're very subdued, which helps save things somewhat, and makes what would normally be arrogant proclamation come across as regrettable conclusion. Picard and Riker still make ridiculous statements, but at least it's not conveyed like the being proclaimed from the pulpit, something which was lacking in similar conversations on Voyager and Enterprise. I'm still going to tear this apart, but I want to spit on them while I do it. Worf's opinion is absolute. The law is the law. So long as it doesn't involve Klingons. But once the Gorgon and I are on the same page, because she finds clinging to it while an entire planet is being destroyed, callous and cowardly. An accusation that requires Picard to step in before Worf as she tries to defend the Klingon member. Riker decides just what this conversation needs is a good combination of the insubstantial and the ridiculous.
If there is a cosmic plan, it is not the type of hubris to think that we can or should interfere.
So what are you saying? That the Fremen are fated to die?
I think that's an option that we should consider.
Riker sure puts a lot of faith in this cosmic plan, considering the guy once sees that godlike powers himself, and his most spiritual demonstration is growing a beard. Not unless he really thinks Picard is God. I'm flabbergasted. This out of nowhere idea came that there could be some kind of a divine plan. And since the height of hubris is almost certainly a reference to the original intent of that ancient Greek word, which meant to challenge to God. Now, of all time, is when they think of the possibility of some higher power, whatever name you want to give it. Jordy counters Riker's idiocy so quickly and efficiently it barely gets in the way of hitting the buffet table. Which riles Riker up a bit, so much that Data has to politely request that they stop the metaphysics and remember that they're talking about real fucking people. Picard then delivers his counter-arguments.
So we make exceptions to deaths.
Yes.
Is it the same situation with this epidemic? Not geological calamity?
Absolutely.
What about war? It's generations of conflicts killing their homes. We've been they're all a little less secure in our assessment.
You know, we're simplistic. Let's leave that last one alone. We'll just assume it's a clear example of good not to get involved. Rather than debating it, let's just all assume it's correct. Even if we all agreed on that, though, it does not therefore follow that all of the others are now negated. Just because it's not okay for a cop to use lethal force on someone who is parking in front of a fire hydrant, it does not therefore follow that there are no circumstances at all under which a cop could use lethal force. We'll be discussing the Prime Directive in detail before the end of the year, so let's leave this simmering for now, except for one point. Picard concludes the Prime Directive must be applied, and he can follow it so long as these people are, as Data put it, a matter of philosophical debate. When the girl's voice comes over the comm and Data prepares to disconnect permanently, Picard can't let her die. Truly, she's a child and won't hold that against her. Well, helping Hercules understand the problem, so wouldn't you know it, Wes is once again saved the day by ensuring that his team did that test that would confirm the dilithium deposit. In fact, it is far more dilithium than you'd normally expect. Now, you might be wondering, if there's so much of the damn stuff, why did it barely show signs of being there compared to most other deposits? Well, because, of course, this formation not only happens to create earthquakes strong enough to break up planets, it then breaks down itself to ensure the preservation of Wesley's Dork tire. And just to get the two-point conversion, Picard wants to know definitively whether or not Wesley can save the day twice by devising a solution to this problem. And he wants a real committed answer, so Wesley thinks. What would Picard do? He tried really hard to get into my mom's pants. Can do! So with Wesley's plan having to go ahead, the issue goes from the general to the specific. Data determines the safest place for his friend and her family to go to avoid the quakes, but she's not answering. So he finally gets Picard and Riker to agree to meet him down there in person. She grazes her arms with her fingers, being from the climate of sticky makeup and all. But because things get worse, Data has her beamed up with him. And since there's only one way left to try Picard's patience, Data brings her up to the bridge. Riker's been here often enough that he gets into a defensive posture, knowing that what would Picard do might include getting mad enough to just pitch the hell out of the nearest person's nipples. They then prepare to save the day, the only part of this that Worf's happy with, is he gets to shoot torpedoes at the planet. You know, someday there's going to be a problem that can't be solved by shooting the thing that needs to be saved, but not today. And with that, the day is saved, and all that's left is the off-button hyperspray and a little brain surgery to remove all memory of this. Who doesn't love a happy ending? Post-episode follow-up. Annoying character goes to Riker, whose good moments don't manage to undo a fair amount of douchebaggery. Final score for 10,000, 6 out of 10. Surprising for me because I expected to hate it on my latest viewing. All the elements were in place in the episode that fall flat on its face.